I'm going to speak on two of the most passionate things on my life. One is design and the other is jewelry.
Be your own self in design.
Design is a part of our life.
First session is going to be taken by Poonam Soni on the theme of shaping the future of jewelry. Poonam Soni is a pioneer of designer jewelry in India, which broke the mold of traditional norms of selling jewelry as an investment. She launched her eponymous brand in 1989, which is now a coveted brand globally. She introduced the concepts of collections with her Greek and Egyptian collection, monochromes and gaudy revived, and she brought art into jewelry by collaborating with Lakshman Shrestha and Nawaz Modi Singhania. Later, Michael Kors endorsed her, and she went on to work with a few royal families. This path-breaking designer not only opened up the way for women to enter this closed business, but is also the recipient of over 100 awards, felicitations, and listed in various books worldwide, including the Rolls-Royce Coffee Table Book, the Beyond Black Book, and Forbes. She's represented India at the Eco Art Charity Auction of Prince Albert of Monaco, held at Abu Dhabi, and was the invitee designer to open the incredible India show at Paris, along with Dior, at the invitation of Marc Jamet of LVMH. It's my pleasure to introduce Poonam Soni.
Well, good evening, everyone. I hope you're all excited about today's sessions. Firstly, I want to thank DLC for having me here. It's a great opportunity because I'm going to speak on two of the most passionate things on my life. One is design and the other is jewelry. Design is a part of our life. You can't segregate design from life. It's not that simple though, because I think design has a more profound meaning. For me, it's a reflection of my inner self. So when I was asked to talk of a design philosophy, I actually introspected and went deep down to reflect what is my design philosophy. So I started jewelry 33 years ago in 1989, and that time it was just from a housewife as a passion because I loved jewelry and I loved anything which has beauty, aesthetics, so even interiors, clothing, everything which is beautiful drew me, including art. When I decided to put jewelry as a business, I was dissuaded by everyone who was in the jewelry business. And then I was told that this is a very difficult business to start because it's a very closed, hierarchical, tight market which does not appreciate outsiders. No one was forthcoming about how I could build it into a business. Then I got thinking to myself that I just don't want to sell a few jewelry pieces. I want to make an impact. I want to build a brand. I want people to notice me. So with that idea, started the idea of making impactful statement jewelry pieces which would have shock value, a wake-up call, and they would be noticed. That started the build of my design philosophy. So it came from the times, the situation, and the era from where I started. That was the first thing. When I started this, I started also putting unusual metals, materials into the jewelry pieces, which were not the normal norm at all. So if there's gold, people wanted it to be with diamonds, precious stones, but I put semi-precious stones, leather, stained glass, art, shells, all the stones in real gold and real platinum. That itself had a complete wake-up call and made me get noticed. That was the starting point. The second was, it wasn't just creating impactful pieces, they had to be visually attractive. So I'm a visual designer. When I see something interesting, the designs are running in my head to the last minutest detail before they are culminated into a tangible piece. So I balance the statement with the visual aspect of the design to make them look attractive. Jewelry at that time had a particular connotation to it that it was just an investment. So the women were told, when you go to buy a piece, please check the weight of gold, diamonds, quality, all that. The design came last. And even they didn't want to pay for the labor, shortchanging the craftsmen. This went completely against my thought process, because I don't think a woman needs, her net worth needs to be measured by monetarily by gold and diamonds. I think she's far more valuable than that, and women have proved that over the years in the powerful positions, in the change they have brought about in the society with their entrepreneurial skills in every area. So I put my jewelry at a single price point and gave breakups only for the billing purpose and did not haggle at all. This has been my format for 33 years, and everyone knows when they come to our store, there's no bargaining. We have to pay the craftsman. So I put jewelry as a luxury accessory. So that was the biggest change, which later opened the way for a lot of designers and luxury enthusiasts to get into this business. So I started custom designing. I would call the women to the store, see their height, their budgets, their requirements, and I would design a piece exclusively suited to them, which was their unique piece. Also, my jewelry style was fusion, which didn't separate Art Nouveau from Art Deco or different styles. It merged. It was something which I felt would look beautiful visually. I would put it without following any set norms or trends. So I just played with designs, materials, elements, and my pieces got to be known as fusion, multi-dimensional, bold. They had a lot of movement, and they had a lot of element, even height-wise. So that was a typical Poonam Soni piece, and people would come and say that somebody recognized and said, is that her design? So that was the design philosophy which got built up, I think, through the journey of the brand. Then I was also inspired by not just jewelry books, by art, architecture. Wherever I traveled, I caught influences which attracted my visual aesthetics, and I put it into jewelry. So my first collection was inspired by the Sistine Chapel in Rome. When I entered the chapel, all the paintings on the walls, on the dome, they just were playing in my head, and I was visualizing them on the necks and the wrists of the women. And I brought them down to those. Then later, I took jewelry on a public platform through shows, media events, and I just didn't let the jewelry industry remain closeted in one box. I put it out there. Then we started also doing luxury collaborations, like I did with Valentino, Judith Lieber bags, various luxury brands. So this is how my brand philosophy developed. The last thing I wanted to tell you was that I was working with the Hath Karigars, because they could feel the essence of the design. I felt they could recreate it. And that was not technically perfect jewelry. So how to take this jewelry into the international markets where I was competing with such perfect techniques? I made imperfection my USP. So now when I went abroad, I would say it's a handcrafted piece. What made me famous on international shows? We don't have a weakness. We have to turn it into a strength. Whatever we have and we believe in, that's what works. So this is how the design philosophy was built. Would someone like to tell me what is their favorite jewelry piece?
I think for a girl, the first piece of jewelry, the little gold bali is back in time, so it has sentimental value. And growing up, I think in the Poonam Soni brand, I was always exposed to a very creative take on hoops. So the moment I wear them, it's very empowering. So for me, it's hoops, that's my go-to.
Hoops is one of my favorite designs as well.